Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, the 2024 SOAR Summit is underway in Pikeville. We'll have a live report. And we'll hear from both sides about the impacts Amendment 2 could have on education as voters head to the polls soon.
And a freeze warning goes into effect at midnight. Details in a few minutes.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
The 2024 Shaping Our Appalachian Region, or SOAR Summit, is filling Pikeville with programming, partnerships, and more this week. WYMT's Buddy Forbes is live at the Appalachian Wireless Arena with a look at day one. Buddy.
Yes, Steve, now music is starting to fill the Main Street stage here as the first day of that SOAR event comes to a close, and organizers say it was a great start to the summit. Shaping our Appalachian region requires a lot of hands.
It's a puzzle we're trying to put together here in Eastern Kentucky. It's complex, but the only way we're going to put it together is if we're doing it together.
And some of those hands are being highlighted this week at the SOAR Summit, bringing in the missions and makers that create, innovate, and educate the minds of tomorrow.
We have to have the future of the region in the room. We have to have them not only in the room, but we need to hear their voices, we need to hear their ideas, and that's what today's about.
With showcases filling the Appalachian Wireless Arena floor and more than 500 students getting a look at the labor and lessons available in Appalachia.
I'm here to experience new job opportunities for my future and to help the society and community out.
SOAR COO Joshua Ball says the summit is all about connecting people with the right path.
And getting them in a venue like today is critically important so that they can not only hear that there's great things happening, but they can touch it, feel it, and experience it firsthand.
Showing high school seniors like Jaden Thacker that they can stay home and still have the career they always imagined.
Being able to see these stands and these events helps me understand what I want to do, and it pushes me to move forward and move out of my comfort zone.
Or be part of something they never knew was a possibility.
And that's what we're really looking forward to, is just creating the stage for Eastern Kentucky to shine.
Now, Ball says an event like this is only possible because so many people buy into that idea of promise and progress here in the region. So he's excited to see how that vision comes to life in the next couple of days. In Pikeville, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
All right, Buddy, thank you very much. Kind of a chilly night for live music outside, but I'm sure it'll be a good time. The summit continues tomorrow and Friday with guest speakers planned for both days. You can see a full schedule for the summit over on our website. We have an update tonight on a story about a man leading police on a high-speed chase. In a post on Facebook, Prestonsburg PD says they received a tip from someone about Kyle Greer being in the passenger side of a vehicle. Once that car came into Prestonsburg, police responded and found the vehicle that matched the description. The vehicle failed to yield when officers tried to perform a traffic stop, but they later cut the vehicle off. Police say Kyle Greer was arrested without incident. Addiction Recovery Care, also known as ARC, has announced it will be temporarily closing 4 facilities in Kentucky. Those facilities are Sanibel in Catlettsburg in Boyd County, Lake Hills Oasis in Somerset, Beth's Blessing in Tyner, and Belle Grove Springs in Wallingford. That's in Fleming County. ARC says the closings come due to impending and significant Medicaid reimbursement cuts for addiction and mental health services. A London man is in jail after police found meth in his possession. The London Police Department's Special Investigation Drug Interdiction Unit arrested 29-year-old Dylan Mosley recently. Following the traffic stop, police also determined Mosley had multiple active warrants for his arrest. Mosley was charged with trafficking in a controlled substance and was taken to the Laurel County Correctional Center. In Harlan County, 2 people are behind bars after police found meth and drug paraphernalia in their possession. On Sunday, police made contact with Joey Lewis behind the Everett's Police Department. Police also found baggies and digital scales. Tommy Chafin was also arrested in the Bledsoe community on Sunday. Police had determined through an investigation that Chafin was impaired. Both Chafin and Lewis were taken to the Harlan County Detention Center. In Wayne County, West Virginia, a man is facing drug charges after a traffic stop in the Fort Gay area. The sheriff says the Drug Enforcement Unit stopped the vehicle and saw the driver trying to hide a bag of meth in his pants. A loaded gun was found under the driver's seat, and a bag of marijuana was also taken from the driver's pocket. Brandon Fastnot is facing drug possession charges, among others. Kentucky State Police are asking for help finding a man who is originally from Harlan County. Here's a picture of 33-year-old Lonnie Skidmore. He's wanted for robbery and assault. He's described as 6 feet tall with brown eyes and black hair. If you have any information, call the Harlan KSB Post at 606-573-3131.
It was a chilly start to your Wednesday as we had temperatures in the low to mid 30s, and that trend will continue tonight going into the early morning hours of your Thursday. We made it to 34 on the low end in Hazard. Jackson made it to 36, as well as Manchester. London made it to 34. Somerset made it to 34. Pikeville made it to 36. And again, we'll see temperatures even cooler tonight as we drop into the upper 20s and low 30s. And it's because of that we have the freeze warning in effect. That starts at midnight and goes until 10 a.m. for the majority of the WYMT viewing area. So if you have plans tonight or as you head out the door tomorrow morning, make sure you have that coat with you. Here's a look outside. You can see right now a mixture of sun and clouds. Temperatures right now are in the 40s and 50s, upper 40s towards Logan as well as Pikeville. Clintwood's at 47. We're at 50 in Hazard, 54 in Somerset, 52 in Monticello. So the next 24 hours keeps us mainly cloudy across the area. That will dwindle down as we go throughout the overnight hours. We'll see plenty of sunshine, though, as we go throughout the day on Thursday. There's the chilly start that I was talking about with temperatures in the 20s and 30s by 7 a.m. But the 70s make a return somewhere on the 7-day, and we'll plot that out in a few minutes. Steve.
All right, Eric, thank you. And want to remind you again, our parent company, Gray Media, is teaming up with the Salvation Army for hurricane relief efforts. You can make a financial donation by going to floridastormrelief.org. Just scan the QR code on your screen and you'll be directed to the right website to donate. Amendment 2 on the Kentucky November ballot asks citizens if they are in favor of allowing the General Assembly to fund education institutions beyond public schools. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox talks to folks on both sides of the issue.
Educator Tiffany Combs says the wording in Amendment 2 is vague.
They've not really said exactly where the funding is going to come from, but you know, there's one pot of money. So you have to take from something in order to fund these vouchers. So our funding will be cut.
Combs says that would be funding taken from public schools. She says funding has already been previously cut.
You know, I see daily how teachers are working magic with nothing. So to cut that even further is just not fair to them, and it's not fair to our students.
Combs says the amendment would hurt Eastern Kentucky students more than other areas because there are not as many private schools. The amendment could benefit non-public and private schools like Redbird Christian School in Clay County, where administrators say they have seen a decrease in charitable giving.
That would bring us back to where we were to the 1980s when we separated from public education funds at that time. Would bring us back to a point where we could stabilize the education we're providing.
Tim Crawford with Redbird Christian says the funding would allow them to strengthen the service aspect of their school.
Our staff, many of them have come out of Redbird School and are now working in our outreach department that serves about 12,000 people a year, just basic needs.
Crawford says he would not, however, like to see funding taken away from public schools as a result. In Perry County, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
Amendment 2 will be on ballots statewide. You can simply check a box next to yes or no to cast your vote. Early voting is underway throughout Tennessee, including our neighbors in Claiborne and Campbell counties. Voters can cast their ballots in person for President, U.S. Senate and House, State House, and for some, State Senate. Again, this is in Tennessee. When you head out to vote, have your driver's license or photo ID with you. That ID needs to be issued either by the state or federal government. The ID requirement is an extra layer of security. Early voting in Tennessee wraps up October 31st. School safety and the increased cost to fund it were discussed at the state capitol today in Frankfort. Kentucky's Center for School Safety Director told lawmakers of how spending on measures has increased substantially during the past 25 years. The testimony follows some recent high-profile threats and instances at some Kentucky schools. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what was discussed at the Capitol.
Montgomery County was among the districts where school threats were recently received.
I think something has to be done to make it very unpleasant for anybody who wants to spread false rumors.
Some Montgomery County parents kept their children home, schools were closed, and for a time backpacks were banned. And also during that time, school leaders say that a student brought a loaded gun to school.
I couldn't speak to motive or intent, but what I can tell you is that it happened. And that because it happened, it's a really important time for us to take again, shift maybe from some of the other priorities that we have as a school district.
In the weeks since, the law enforcement director says they've had time to address their safety initiatives.
Yeah, so I think it's really important to understand that school safety is not a destination. You don't ever get to a point to where you've reached this end goal. School safety is fluid.
This is simply a snapshot of your Senate Bill 91, which allocated $15 million for school safety.
Funding for school safety has increased substantially since the Heath High School shooting in 1999, and now money for mental health is in the mix. Barrier says relationship building is also key.
It is the cornerstone for what we do and what I train our SROs in our schools to do.
Akers says their tip line receives 100 calls a day, and 40% of them deal with mental health issues. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Lawmakers said next year school safety funding will increase by another $18 million. Governor Andy Beshear has announced that officials are working to speed up the progress to finish the Mountain Parkway expansion project. The announcement came as a result of a federal grant worth more than $116 million. The grant helps complete what officials say is a $300 million project to expand the Parkway from Syersville to Prestonsburg. Once complete, the entire project will have widened 32 miles of the existing parkway to 4 lanes and extend it by 13 miles. Here's a statement from Governor Beshear about the funding. He says, quote, "We are grateful for these federal dollars, which will help us move closer to the finish line on this promising and much needed project." The Appalachian Regional Commission has awarded more than $68 million in funding to projects in 10 states, including Kentucky. Some projects in our area which will benefit from the announcement are the Appalachian Center for Preventative Medicine. U-Pike was granted $2 million. The Big Sandy Area Development District is also receiving $400,000 for their fire program. We have additional details about this at WYMT.com.
All right, weather headlines for tonight. The freeze warning begins at midnight. Record-breaking lows will be in the forecast. Then we're going to talk about a weekend warm-up. Details in a few minutes.
Plus, with the weather being colder than usual lately, tips about what you can do to keep your plants safe from the cold.